Welcome to another weekly market update. Today is March 23rd, 2019. You probably have heard the headline already that the yield curve have inverted, spread between the 3-month yield and the 10-year yield. And here is this zero line here, and it went negative, and negative by just a tad. So here's the table. Let's see, here's the 3-month yield, 2.46%, and the 10-year yield, 2.44%. So it's actually negative 0.02%, and I guess that kind of got the market all stirred up. Market is basically repricing for a recession, right? So let's go and take a look at some of the market and see what is it actually doing. Let's start looking at the cash indexes. First start off with the Dow Jones Transportation, and these are the weekly chart that we are looking at. So you see this weekly candle here is all negative, and last week we're saying that we're still looking for a pullback and possibly come down and retest this 99.77 level and possibly trace back to this Fibonacci retracement zone of 338.2% at 96.29 area. So we're going to be watching to see what it come down here and find a some sort of support from a 99.77 level and bounce back. But even though if it bounced back, we've been looking for this trend line to act as a resistance until it break above that and take out this pivot high. But if it doesn't take out this pivot high, still prone to a pullback, dipping back down into this retracement zone here on the transportation. And looking at the Dow Jones Industrial, was saying that it came up and bumped against this 26,223 resistance here, and it is pulling back. You can see it got a rejection here on this candle here, and it didn't even get back up to this 26,223. And right now, basically be watching this 25,439 potential support to see what it get a bounce, or it just come down and eventually come back in and try to find some support at 24,014 area. I think that will be the near-term level that I will be keeping an eye on if it break this 25,439. Even though if it come back up to this 26,223, we still need to see would it be able to break above that. And if we could hold above that, then yes, we will be looking at a possibility of a potential all-time high, a new all-time high. But until then, I think it is more prone to come back down and try to find this level here and test it for potential support here. And for the S&P 500, you see S&P 500 got a shooting star on a weekly candle and really got rejected when it got up here at 2864.12, this potential resistance level here. So right now, we're going to be watching this particular resistance turn support at 2795.14 and see what it get a bounce here. If it's not, then basically looking for this thing to come back down to this 2738.98 and possibly come all the way down to 2675.47 to find some support, and maybe we could see a bounce there. Then maybe we could set up this low inverted head and shoulder and possibly drive this S&P 500 back up to a possible all-time high. And the NASDAQ 100 really got an ugly candle, although it started off the week really strong. Then on Friday, you can see how how the sell-off kind of took it down and really giving it a little bit of a shooting star here, although it got a little bit of a bullish body here. But again, we were looking for this 7,400 as potential resistance, and it just pushed through it like it wasn't there at all. And all of a sudden when it sold off, it also sold off pretty hard, and it's coming back down to the 73.08 for potential support. And we'll be watching this thing to trace back down to these lower level and see would it be able to find some support at least near this 7,034.94. And if it can't find support here, then we're basically looking for this thing to come back down to the 68.16 area and see would it be able to find some potential support and then bounce back up. The Russell 2000 really took a hit on last week, and it broke this support level once again, 1524. It broke a couple weeks ago, and then went back above it. And I think a lot of people might be thinking that it could be coming back up to this 1592 and possibly take out this 1611. But it seems like it's just running out of steam, and it is heading back toward this 1487 level and possibly this 1414.60 potential support level. So we'll be keeping an eye on these level down here at 1524, 1487 for the coming week, and really keeping an eye on the resistance here somewhere around this 1592 and 1611. These are the two key resistance levels that we'll be keeping an eye on, and we really want to see if this thing gonna come back up. Want to see it take out this 1611 level there. Let's take a look at the crude oil market here. This is crude oil future, and we see that it's been trending inside of this channel here for quite a while since the end of last year. And right now it seems like got a little bit of a rejection here from this upper channel. We might see it to come back in to this balance zone here. You notice that there is quite a high volume area here, this high volume zone. So might see it to maybe come back and test this, although there is a potential support level here, resistance turn support at 58.16. But we're going to see what come back into this zone. If it comes back into this zone here, then we'll probably be watching this trend line at the lower channel, see what it provides some support to get it bounced. If it's not, wouldn't be surprised to see it come back down to this edge, the lower boundary of the zone, because there is this high volume area, and then got a little bit of a low volume dent here, so that might get a little bit of a rejection and get the price to bounce off of it. So be keeping an eye on the 58.16. If it come back down, then we probably see price to retrace to this balance zone here, and possibly get down to the 54.50 area before we get a substantial bounce, maybe coming back up inside of this price channel and try to test some of these low volume node here. But I anticipate that it probably will chop around here between this area here, somewhere around this 54 to 60 area, basically 55, 60 for a little while, and see or the US dollar gonna do. Basically is more depending on the US dollar right now than on the supply and demand. I think if the dollar get weaker, then the oil price will go up, and if dollar holding steady, then we probably just gonna fluctuate here. All right, so that's basically my take on the crude oil. And then the next one is the gold market. All right, gold, basically looking at gold here. Let me remove this. Looking at gold, it came up, and then it retraced back down to the 618, right, and into this retracement zone, and found some support here in this high volume zone area here, right, this high volume zone. And you see this got the rejection here at the lower prices here. So we found some support here, and now it's bouncing back up on this little bit of a trend. You could say people might look at this as a bear flag, and then they're going to come back down. Well, that's one possibility, but it is coming back into this upper high volume zone here also. So there is a possibility this thing will come up to the top of this zone, and maybe even get up to this 1323 potential resistance level, and test that and then see would it be able to punch through or get a rejection and come back into the zone, and then come back down and test this trend line before make another move up, or it basically just break through the zone and then start coming back down and try to retest this particular high volume zone. But right now I'm tend to think that the gold is going to move up on the near term, because with the dovish Fed, I think their announcement about no rate hike in 2019, there are some fundamental flaw with the current economy that have caused them to put a hold on any kind of rate hike for 2019. So, and also the reduction of their balance sheet. So there is something in there that they are not telling the market. So I'd be leery of that. And also with dollar, if the dollar get weaker, then gold will also move up, in price. So basically looking at the near term 1323.30, and then on the downside, probably keeping an eye on 1304.70 area, somewhere around there. Basically looking at these high volume area here for a little bit of a support and chopping level, kind of consolidating there, and then make a push. And basically ultimately I'm looking for the push to come up to this pivot high somewhere around 1349.80. And then looking at the ES, the E-mini S&P 500 future, you can see on the daily bar here, this Friday here, it went down for 1.9%, down 55 handle. Right, so that's quite a drop. And here's that, a scene of the crime where right before the FMOC announcement, I have a 2826.50, and basically dip below that. So basically all the gain here on Thursday that people think that there's a Fed announcement rally and came up to close to 2865, and that was one of the resistance level that I'm watching. And then on Friday it just gave it all back and took out the 2650 and coming back into the zone here. So I'd be watching this particular zone to see what it first of all is this channel here, with this lower channel provide any sort of support, and then push back and try to sneak back out of this zone again, and then maybe possibly retest its 2826.50 one more time before come back in, and then work itself down to 2736.50. That's one of the potential support, and then possibly sort of work itself down into this balance zone. So because a lot of time if it break out of that balance zone and then come back in, then there's a good chance that it will retrace that balance zone and try to get below it, then come back in. So that is one scenario that I'm watching, is for this pullback. Unless something dramatically happened, then I'll be looking for this thing to come up to possibly come up to this little bit of a high volume zone here near the upper channel. But right now I'm more inclined to look at this lower channel trend line for potential support tests, maybe possibly push it back up and then come back down to at least to this 2736 in the near term. And looking at the NQ, the E-mini Nasdaq 100, similarly, you can see this. If we add these two candles up, you're basically getting a big shooting star, right? With the bearish body here. That's basically what this two candles is equivalent to. And that is one ugly shooting star candle, and that's why I'm kind of looking at this thing to move back down to this 72.1150, right? This potential resistance turn support, and see would it be able to find some support, and also is essentially sitting near the lower trend line of this channel here. See would it get a bounce back up and try to retest this 73.93. But my perspective is looking at this probably will maybe chop a little bit and it come right to here, and again just like the S&P, the ES may possibly get back into this balance zone here and then work itself down to the other end, the lower edge of this balance zone, and possibly test this 6409.25. But at least I'm going to be looking at this 6828.25 as one of the level to keep an eye on this pullback. Once it break below this 72.1150, right? Unless it could resume itself on the upper climb and get into this little bit of a high volume zone, then get up above this 7700, close to 7800. Then we'll be talking about all-time high once again for the Nasdaq. But right now, I think probably due for a little bit of a pullback into the 72.11 and toward the 68.28.25 in the near term. Now let's take a look at some of these ETF on the indexes. First off, first one is the Diamond. That's the Dow Jones 30 ETF. And you can see right now it's pulling back. I have a composite volume profile here, and this is the composite VPOC. And it's pulling back below this VPOC and back into this balance zone that I have. And I expect it to come down and test this 254.35 and this potential support and work itself down to 246.65, essentially retracing this balance zone. But if it could get itself back up above this VPOC, composite VPOC, and take out the 262.08, this level here, then this could be back in play. This is the all-time high here. But in the near term, I am keeping an eye on 254.35, then the 246.65. So those are the two support levels that I'll be watching. And for the SPY is also making its move back into this balance zone that I have. You see that it took out the value area high, this composite volume profile, and almost got up to this 285.50 and got a pushback. On Thursday it got almost up there at 285.50. It got close, and on Friday it just got rejected back all the way down and gave up all the gain that it had accumulated for the week plus more, and it came back down to somewhere around this 279.16. So it closed at 279.25. So in the coming week, I'd be looking for this thing to come back down to possibly test the 273.44 and see would it get a bounce off of that. If it's not, even though if it get a bounce, I would see a continuation of a downtrend to move down to possibly the 266.98, and essentially working toward this lower edge of the balance zone on this retracement here, then set up another big move and possibly get a bounce up, and maybe at that point in time it will try to make a move up to the all-time high and possibly put in a new all-time high. So basically that's what I'm looking at on the SPY, the key level. So look for the break of the 279.16 and then come down to the 273 and the 266.98. The QQQ, the ETF for the NASDAQ 100, you can see this big candle coming down. Right now it's essentially looking at this potential support at 178.12, but I am looking for this thing to continue to move itself back down and possibly make it back into this balance zone here, and then come all the way down to test this 166.02. So it's been the tech been fairly strong, so wouldn't be surprised to see a larger sell-off on this correction here, or on this pullback. So that's why I'm looking for the potential of a big sell-off, because we're going to take a look at the FAANG stock, and you can see some of the movement from the FAANG stock, and how would that play in the near future here on influence the QQQ or the NASDAQ 100. And here in the Russell 2000 ETF IWM, it really took it to the chin on Friday here. You see this just came up, bump into this potential resistance here, 156.12 on Thursday, and then on Friday it just gave it all back plus more, and it even broke this pivot low here. So basically watching for this thing to come down to 147.92 and see would it get a little bounce off of this potential support and possibly make its way down to that 143.99. But if it could work itself back up above this 156.12 and get back above this this zone here, then maybe we could see it try to come up and retest this 160.11. But until then, we're basically looking for this thing to retrace back down to somewhere around this 143.99. Now let's take a look at the FAANG stocks. Start off with Facebook. You see Facebook been chopping around in this balance zone here, because you see this it's this big high volume area, right? And it seems to be trapped within this zone here. Okay, so right now I'm basically watching to see would it come back down to this 160.49 and potential support and get a bounce back up, and then maybe do a little chop and then move up to the next zone, or would it be coming back down here and break this 160.49 and work itself back down to the lower zone? So there is a little bit of a low volume area here, this low volume zone. So there's some rejection here. So unless we get a rejection of bouncing it back up at 156.40, if we don't see a rejection there, then most likely price is getting rejected on the downside. In other words, they are not being accepted here. So we're just going to let it slide down until it get down to this high volume area to find some acceptance. And that's basically what I'm looking at right now for Facebook, is to see would it be able to hold this 160.49 and get a bounce back up, or it will continue to come down, and see would it be able to get a rejection on the upside to 156.40. If not, then basically looking for this thing to slide down below this 150.42. And here looking at Apple, see, that's basically what the S&P is basically been driven off by mostly by Apple in the last couple of weeks. You see this is one heck of a run here on Apple, but on Friday you see that got rejected up here right near this low volume node here, also in this basically the top of this balance area, right, and a high volume area here. Okay, so right now I'm looking for Apple to come back down possibly to this 184.94 and see would it get a little bit of a bounce and push back up. If it's not, then basically looking for this thing to continue to move on down to this 177.75 and try to come down to this balance zone and see would it find some value there, and then get a push back up once again after we finish testing this particular value zone or the balance zone here on Apple. So these are the levels that I'd be watching: 184.94, 177.75. On the upside, it'd be 199.85, although there will be a event. Apple will hold an event, announcement event, possibly for the streaming media service on Monday. So you might see some volatility here, and I'd be surprised to see if it will come up above this 199.85 and move toward the 212.32. That will be my next resistance level. But hey, anything is possible, right? There is a high volume area here above this 215 area, okay? But I think we might see this zone here get a little bit of a check and then come back down here for now until the market stabilize and get some of the fear out. Then maybe we get a push back up. But for now, there is also a trend line here that I'm looking at. Right, so that's why that this 184.94 will also be interesting to watch to see would it be able to hold this trend line here. And here Amazon is also kind of interesting, right? Because you see this is also being, Amazon has also been driving the NASDAQ 100 in the last couple of weeks until last Friday. Then we got this big sell-off here, and it came all the way back down to this high volume node here, this zone here. So right now I'm basically looking for Amazon to work itself back down into this zone here. All right, see, so you got some big high volume zone here, so it might come back and chop around in this area. So I'm looking at this 1736 and 1709. So let's see would it be able to get a bounce, but eventually I'm looking for this thing to work itself back down to 1553, right? This potential support area here. Now, of course, if it's gonna continue to get a bounce and move back up, then basically looking at 1865 would be my next potential resistance area, and see would it get rejected back down, because this is a inside this low volume zone here. So we either have the price get rejected back down, or we'll go right to, because it did not find any acceptance here until we get back up to this high volume node for acceptance. And here we're looking at Netflix. Netflix have a nice run up also, and came up to this balance zone here, this high volume area. Right. So and on Friday, it also got a massive sell-off, and this is basically setting up a evening star type of pattern here. But also, if you add these three candles up, you're essentially getting this little bit of a doji shooting star candle, right? And that is also quite bearish. So right now, basically looking for a little chop, continue to come down, maybe possibly 298. Maybe the competition that Apple announcing on Monday might create a little bit of a reaction here on Netflix, and have it sell off a little bit and come back down to this lower zone, this balance zone here, and possibly test the 298.72. Now, if it's gonna run higher, then they have to get back above this this zone here, this balance zone, and get above the 378.75 and push through this pivot high, which is 386.80. Then we'd be talking about maybe a potential new high. But right now, I'm more inclined to look at this thing to continue to work itself down toward the 298.72. And then finally, Google been also having a heck of a run. So you can see the FAANG stock been basically pushing the NASDAQ 100, and in a lot of way with Apple running, and it's kind of pushing the S&P 500, right? And also the Dow 30, because Apple is part of the Dow 30. But there is some negative that forcing the Dow 30 in check, and that's mainly because of Boeing, right? And Goldman Sachs, the financial, which is not very strong either. So that kind of offset and balance out whatever the Apple is pushing the Dow, and then you got Boeing and Goldman Sachs, this guy pushing it down. So it's kind of holding it back a little bit. But on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, definitely, Apple have been playing a big part of moving those two indexes up. Right? So, and looking at Google, right, Google has also been trending in this channel here, and basically here's the upside resistance at 1271.96, and it just right now basically have a support level at 1207. So sitting there, and if it break this support level, then we're basically looking at this 1776.49, because again, it came into this this zone here, and it basically is trending up toward the upper zone here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Google continue to get a bounce and work toward the upper edge of the zone. And maybe this is one of the FAANG stock that are actually going against the market, right? But you never know, because I think it's made an announcement that it's getting into this online game business. So maybe that's helping it push Google up. But again, if it come down, basically looking at this lower trend line on this channel here, and also coincide with this 1176 and the near this lower edge of this balance area here, this balance zone, right? So basically that's what I'm looking at, the 1176.50, 1176.49, right? Potential support. And if it break below 1207, then the resistance will be 1271.96. I do believe there are still some more upside to come after a little bit of a pullback to take out some of the excess, right? Because we have quite an excess here. You basically look at this after that December low, right? And we basically just got a V bottom and just kind of shot straight up. So that's not a healthy market. Healthy market would be kind of zigzag up. Then this would be healthy. So basically, we're going to look at this and possibly shake some of the excess out, and then maybe we push up. Remember a while back I talked about a potential inverted head and shoulder pattern, right? And that will set up this potential head and shoulder pattern and take out this all-time high, right? So basically that's what I'm looking at for at least for the near term. I don't see it coming all the way down like this yet. Not yet. I think there's going to be a little bit more upside. Maybe a longer trend line here, and then break down further along, maybe later on the year or early 2020. Yes, a recession is imminent, but the key thing is when, right? Nobody know when, so we just have to, as a trader, and we just play it day by day, right? So hopefully your week went okay and didn't get hurt too badly, and enjoy the weekend. Hey, if you like basketball, NCAA, March Madness, some good upset, so hopefully your team is doing well. So if you like this video, give it a like, click that thumbs up, and you're not a subscriber of my YouTube channel, click on the subscribe button at the lower right hand corner, and make sure to click on that bell icon so you get notified whenever I upload a new video or do a live video broadcast. So thank you for watching, and good luck.